So welcome everyone. Thanks for joining. Please use the chat to share your information and tell us where you're joining from. And we are super excited to share all our mistakes when we put together this conference for you guys. And thank you for joining for the conference as well. It was a huge, huge turnout for us. We had close to 1,000 registrants, and we had like a lot of people more outside of who registered. And we'll be sharing all our mistakes, all the learnings that we had. And Ruben, would you like to add something to add?
I'm excited to share. So whatever the questions are, I'm going to dive deep as far as I can through what we learned. There's a lot of things that we'll probably uncover here for the audience that wants to do a potential conference themselves. The one thing that I will say is that if I can do it, you guys can do it. it wasn't it was a matter of leveraging the right people and teaming up together, but not having too big of a team. I will mention that we started with a few other people that were going to help us, and they did not participate in the same things that we were doing. It's like Vinky and I were doing a lot of the work, and these other guys are just kind of along for the ride, and we had to kick them out. So that's another thing that you guys want to focus on that I didn't see in the list of agenda is like be very careful who you pick to do this conference with, because if you're working your brains out and somebody else is just kind of there to tag along, it's going to cause a lot of frustration.
That's true. So that's an unnecessary stress. So Ramesh, would you take a minute to introduce yourself to our audience, please?
Obviously, thanks a lot, Vinky. Probably, I'm not sure, do I need a really introduction? Because, a lot of people who are there started knowing us being into multifamily space for almost more than a 9 year now. Before I introduce, let me say something to Ruben. What a great start, Ruben, what a great line. If I can do it, anybody can do it. What a line. What a inspirational line, Ruben. Let me say, fantastic. Fantastic. And that's what everybody should do it, Ruben. So that being said, myself, Ramesh Tambe, I'm CEO of Orion Digital. Orion Digital is working for multifamily capital raising, fundraising, and specifically our specialization is into the capital raising, generating accredited investor leads. And we have done pastly, including Vinky specific event we have done so far, maybe 20 to 30 events for sure. So we have done a few of online virtual event, few of in-person event as well. Quite a big where 400, 500 in-person people have joined. So that experience we really utilized on doing this, virtual events and seminars. So that's what our specialty is. I have complete 14 years of experience. I have specialization in marketing. I've done my BE in computers, and apart from that, I run a team of 70 plus professional. That's all. I think our greatest key differentiator is we are great what we do. If we commit something, we deliver. That's what our commitment and specialty is altogether. So that's all, Vinky. I think that's all I would love to talk about us.
Thank you so much. That was quite an introduction. And we like you, Ramesh. I know you for the last 5 years working with you, and I can vouch for you. I really enjoy working with you because it's like my idea, my design, my creativity, and then you fill in the colors for me, which I love about it, because a lot of the times people get lost because they do not have the idea. Even they have the idea, they do not know how to relay that information to somebody or share with somebody. And then your team comes really handy when I share with them, especially Amir. I'm going to give kudos to him. He's my best buddy throughout this last 3-4 months, before I say something to him, he always had the answer for me. Let's do it this way. So which was really, really helpful. So we really appreciate you. So I'm going to start with this first question, Ruben. I think it's between us. We're going to, let's share with everybody. How did we, how did we think about having a conference? What was our objective, for this conference? And, I know we know each other for a long time and we've been planning to doing so many things. So share your thoughts with me, how did we come about with this idea of having a conference together? I have done multiple, but yours was the first. And then was that like a little bit scary experience for you or being hesitant, or what was it like?
It wasn't scary. It was a lot more work than I expected it to be. I'll tell you there. So Vinky and I got together about a year ago, and we wanted to put together a capital raising mentorship program, and then realized that was going to consume an incredible amount of bandwidth. And then simultaneously, with the slowdown in multifamily, a lot of people were launching ancillary businesses amongst the industry, the multifamily industry, CRMs, AI, property management software. And a lot of people started capital raising mentorship programs. We're talking about like Zach Kaptenstall. I think a bunch of new ones came on scene, and I just didn't want to compete with everybody. So I'm like, well, Vinky, what do we do? Let's put together a conference. We got momentum. We got some other things. But your question is like, why? Why would you do that? I mean, if you're going to do a conference, you probably need something for sale in order to make it profitable. And we didn't have a mentorship program or anything for sale. So the objective for me specifically was, okay, I've left my previous company. We've done subdivision. We have a subdivision, but I need a investor database. So how do I create an investor database of capital raisers that I could potentially work with? The fastest way that I could come up with to create a list was, let's put together a bunch of incredible speakers and then drive traffic to it, and then I'll have a list. In fact, we created, I think, over 840 or somewhere in that range people that I now have in a database. And the question then becomes like, well, how do I communicate with them, right? So that's a different thing. But I got this list of people, and if I can just find one or two people that I end up working with and raise capital with in conjunction with them, that is incredibly lucrative return on the time investment on the time that I put into this conference. So my objective was, let's get a list of a bunch of capital raisers and start putting together a community of people that can potentially engage with. And even if they don't do business with me, they can partner with other people in that community. That was my main objective. What was yours, Vinky?
Yeah, so this is like a really good answer. So every time when you do a conference, there has to be some objective, and why is very important, like why we are doing that. So my thing was, I wanted to create a community, and this was not my first conference. I have done multiple before. I try to do 2 to 3 every year, and with different partners, because that way you get to learn different skill sets with other people, and also you get to learn who's a good partner, who's not, and you learn other people's skill set and see how you can leverage each other and do things better. So my thing was to create a community, because that's what we try to do every time, create a community, add people and bring value to people. My thing is, I'm more like on the giving end. I like to give resources to people. And we started the WhatsApp group too from this particular conference, so people can share ideas and share deals, details, whatever information that we have, even context, so that people don't have to run anywhere else to look for certain information. That was the main goal. And after that, I think we wanted to do a masterclass on the capital raising, because we wanted to share our skill set with other people, that how they can learn and how they can brush up. But unfortunately, that masterclass has been postponed, but we'll have that sooner than later. And then the first thing was just like finding your audience, why you wanted to do it. Those are the very important things to do any kind of conference or a masterclass. That's what we did. And the next comes, how do we take it to the next level? And that's where Ramesh came in, because I know Ramesh, like I mentioned, for last 5 years. So after having a conversation with Ruben, we had a couple other people with us on board at that time. And I was like, okay, he's the marketing guy. Let's not do everything ourselves, because there's no possible way we can take it to completion. So let's bring Ramesh in. So I reached out to him and I asked him, okay, we are trying to do this conference. So how would you help us, kind of make this dream come true for my team? Because I'm the only one who has the experience with the prior experience with the conference, and others are new, but we wanted to create this good experience. And this is our storyline. The other thing I forgot to mention, that when you figure out your why, your audience, then you wanted to create a storyline for your conference, like what conference should look like. People do not get bored. It's like a story from you starting with one session all the way to multiple sessions and throughout multiple speakers. So Ramesh, so when I reach out to you, when I shared this idea with you, what was your first thought? Did you think that I'm doing something wrong, or is it doable or not doable, or how your team was going to help me with that?
No, as you precisely mentioned, Venki, that okay, the moment you came, you were like, bunch of people. There were not that time, there was only Venki or Ruby. There were a bunch of people who were supposed to do this. Then I thought, okay, Venki, I know Venki. Venki is there, so we can do it. I was knowing Ruben too. Few other also I was knowing, but when four people are there and then running or doing that conference, I was bit of thoughtful that whom I should listen, whom I should not listen, and all those kind of a thing. But I must say, then I think, the kind of initiative what Vinky was having, precisely considering that a strategic capital raise and the vision what she was along with Ruben was having that, okay, we wanted to have at least 1,000 plus or 2,000, near to close to 2,000 plus, registrations for this particular event, and we want to give a value. Basically, your thought was, Winky's thought, to give a value to the users who are going to join across. I still remember, Winky, if you, Ruben, you and Winky, if you recollect back, earlier there was not bunch of speaker, there was just few speaker which were on the board. Okay, but as the time goes and the speakers coming up, trust me, I got quite a good client base in this space. Venki, Ruben, you both know. Okay, 5 to 6 clients just texted me and buzzed me, what you guys are doing? You are creating a hell lot of a buzz for this event. It is all over, Vinky. This is what a personal text is was coming to me, that really Ruben and Vinky is like, nulling this out. There are too many great speakers. This event is gonna be great, great value add, and all that kind of a thing. So I must say, Vinky, you were having a thought. You started with that thought. When you have that vision, that vision probably, that small at that particular point, but when you started and drave it like this, and it become like this when we delivered it. So that's how, Venki, I see specifically, Ruben, Venki, the way, guys, you have, like, we really taken this up, the conference to the next level, like from onboarding a different speaker, and like, managing those speaking point, Venki, to Ruben, I love that.
Yeah, sure. I know. I think it was like kind of, everything starts with a chaos or things are not clear. I mean, that's the thing. But our thing was we were committed, me and Ruben, we wanted to do it regardless anything. So we came with a storyline, and then we started filling the colors ourselves, meaning to say, start bringing speakers. And then we had something in our mind that we wanted to do something different. We don't want it to have an average conference either. At one point, me and Ruben, we were like, oh my God, so many speakers. What are we going to be doing? Remember that, Ruben? That call that we stayed up till 2 a.m. in the morning, that call, we were like, okay, trying to figure out all the speakers. And the good thing was, none of the speakers bailed out on us. Everybody wanted to join
Well,
the conference.
that's not totally true. We had a couple of people bail. We had a couple of people bail. And part of it is because like we changed the date of the conference, right?
Yeah,
So we lost Keely Hubbard, we lost Ben Frazier. When we switched the date, they were no longer available. And then some other people, I mean, the very last day, or even the same day, one speaker wrote just like, hey, he was a registered, or I should say a broker dealer. My broker dealer says I'm not allowed to speak about capital raising in public today. So sorry, guys, can't join you. So we expected people to bail out. Somebody else had a family member or friend die. So you got to roll with the punches and expect that when you have 50 speakers, it's just common knowledge. Somebody's not going to be available, right? So just be prepared for that.
But those were
I
genuine.
wanted to mention this because of the fact that I have a podcast. And I think about big speakers. Let's go get out the big speakers. I've never had really a lot of resistance. hey, you want to come on the Capital Raiser show? Pretty much anybody has always said yes. And I thought about for the conference, I'm like, these guys that have already been on, like they'll probably say yes to the conference too, right? So one thing that you should be aware of is that most people, when given a chance to contribute to a general audience and share their message, whether they get something out of it or not, they're typically going to say yes. So I just want to plant that seed with people that if you're thinking, oh, maybe I'll get somebody that's kind of smaller in the game, you're not going to get the momentum. So just reach out to the biggest, hugest fish that you can get that are going to attract the most attention. They're almost always going to say yes. So don't be scared to go after the big players. I think that adds a lot of value to the audience when you get incredible speakers there, and they typically, will say yes without asking for any kind of compensation or anything in return.
That's true. And that's all the relationship building, basically. So when you're reaching out to people, if you have a relationship with them, that they will always obviously say yes. They're not gonna say no to you. And then to your point, Ruben, yes, I forgot about that we changed our date. So let's talk about that too a little bit, because our conference was in May. And then we were not ready for the conference. That's what everybody should know. And what such a chaos, and all of a sudden we were like, oh my God, conference is coming. We do not have anything, like fully figured out what we're going to be doing. So guess what happened? We changed the date on the fly. That's how we lost so many speakers at the time. And we had to go
We only
get
lost two.
speakers.
We only lost two. Or actually
Only two.
three. Zach Affenstall as well.
Yeah, I think so, Zach too. And there was we lost few of the speakers, and then we have to go back and secure more speakers for us, right? What was that like? That was a little bit chaos for
That
us,
was
right?
easy. It wasn't that chaotic. You just started reaching out to more people, and then we're like, okay, all these people said yes. Do we want to give them solo spots, or we can probably get more speakers and get more momentum if we just do panels? And by the way, panels, like, people love the engagement, because I see that at the Family Office Club all the time. Everything is done in a panel, and you can get a lot of content from a lot of viewpoints out very rapidly. So we just kept on doing more and more and more panels, and we're like, well, what kind of topics are we going to create for this? All right, well, how about artificial intelligence? Damn, I would have never even thought about that. Vinky, thank you for bringing that. Oh, well, what if we do since funds are so hot, we'll do a fund to fund attorneys panel. Vinky's like, wow, like I'd never considered that. So the two people or the multiple people together coming up with ideas, you brainstorm, and all of a sudden you get all of these crazy concepts. And if you have a general theme, which in our case was capital raising, you can explore that and create an entire world or universe of different sub niche topics. I know from the show, the Capital Raiser show, you can go into marketing, branding, family office capital, joint venture capital, raising for different asset classes, and there's all these nuances, LinkedIn strategies, SEO strategies, etc. Let's dive deeper into this and have an entire panel on one specific topic, and then really break into the space and explain things that aren't typically covered in a podcast, because you're covering the story, etc. And I think that organically evolved into something where we were able to provide value in topics for a good 20-30 minutes on each topic, so we could expound on them and really dive deep.
Oh, great. So I wanted to take it to the next level. Let's ask Ramesh about the marketing efforts, right?
Ooh.
We got the speaker secured, we got our storyline. And the funny thing was we got all of our topics ourselves, what we wanted to have people talk about, whether it's a panelist or whether it was, I'm trying to put the spotlight on everybody. I think Ahmed is saying it's not coming out right in the, okay, there you go. So, and then now we wanted to make the huge announcement, create a big buzz. And my only request to Ramesh was that for the next 3 months, we wanted to see our conference everywhere. We wanted to be on all the social media portals. It should be just us, our conference only. And we were promoting our speakers big time. So can you share with us, Ramesh, what was the marketing strategies that you used and you found more effective for us?
Yes, absolutely, Vinky. And adding to that point, specifically Vinky and Ruben, thanks a lot for both of you. Firstly, the way you have provided support of your social profiles, your LinkedIn, your Facebook group, let me just add on the note, like, all the registrations which we have, 850 plus registration, we hardly spent $150 on the paid ads. All the registrations which we got are through the organic efforts. We have maximum focus on outreaching on LinkedIn, on Facebook. Okay, we build out a lot of connection on LinkedIn and Facebook groups. We utilize Facebook groups a lot. Okay, we promoted on personal groups on the Facebook. We did quite a good, I think, outreaching strategy was phenomenal early stage. Few of the time our account got like, flagged as well, but we know that how to like, work with them. So we get them back again, flagged for a certain time, again getting them back. So that process was going on. So with the help of like, outreaching, Facebook group, community building, posting, organically reaching out, poll creations, all those things. And apart from that, I think, the most important factor was the email marketing, which we run across, cold email marketing campaigns, which we were running across for really a quite a good time. Then we also use Eventbrite quite a good, for pushing our event to a next level altogether. So there is a meetup groups as well, which we have utilized for promotion too. So like, all social profile, all Facebook profile, LinkedIn profile, cold email outreach, Eventbrite, this paid version of Eventbrite, and meetup groups. This has phenomenally worked out for us. Again, like, the kind of a messaging we build out, and then like, Ruben and Vinky have just bit of a, they slice it, make it bit of spice, added a spice to it. And with that, we every day, day and night, we never left a single day reaching out and spreading a word out for our conference to each and every a right person. We never reach out to a person who is not into our field. To be very precise, we wanted to syndicators, operators, and fund managers who are targeted audience to join this, and somewhat investors and real estate professionals as well. Okay, we want they to join this, and we were laser focused for those people joining those groups and promoting our message out there. So this is the tactics. Apart from that, I think when we also use text messages as well at that particular point of a time to
Right.
capture a few of the leads to that. So this, like, from text messaging, part of a few part of a, like, paid ads we utilize for a retargeting purpose. Ruben and Venki, just 100 and I think $50 somewhat we spent
That
across.
was a waste of money.
That
Like
was
I
wasted.
recommend
That was waste. That was waste of
don't do
$100.
ads. Don't do
Yeah.
ads.
Yeah.
I want to
Paid
say
ads was
if you
not
don't if you
helpful.
guys don't have the bandwidth to do all of this marketing, that's why you hire somebody like Ramesh to do it, by the way. I think this next thing that I really want to bring up here is, if for anybody that's joining, is if you just listen to this part that we're about to cover and the errors that we made around this, it may be worth it just to tune in for this, which was we used, and I'm going to let you explain it because I don't know all the names of the companies. I know Expandio is one of them. Binky and I came up with an idea. We're going to go get an artificial intelligence software and then plug it into LinkedIn and then download all of our list of contacts that we have as followers and or connections, and then reach out to another subset of group that meet these specific criteria words and get a list of like 10,000 people. So we created these lists. I think I had like 12 or 13,000 and Vicky had another 10,000 or something like that. And then we ineffectively reached out to them and then got thrown into everybody's spam box. And that could have easily vaulted and propelled us to 2,000 people, if not more, in the conference if we had just hit like 10% open rate, but we got like a 0% open rate. So can you go into what did we do wrong there, and how did the people that are listening in that want to use the strategy, what was the strategy? How did we get that list of 10,000 people for each of us? And then what did we do wrong in terms of warming that up so that we wouldn't go into their spam box? Can you talk about that?
Yes, absolutely, Ruben. I did mention, Vinky, that that particular point of a time, that don't try to do that on yourself. let our team handle that particular thing. So, we will able to specifically deliver this email into the inbox of the people. So whenever we do the cold outreaching, Ruben, Vinky, the first thing what we have to do is like, we have to withdraw that data, manually. So once you manually withdraw that data, we have to like validate that data. Once the validation of that data is being done, we have to have separate 5 to 6 different domains which are not related, which are very close to our capital raising summit, but not our domain name. That is the first thing. We have to bot that, warm that email, just warm that database for next 10-15 days. Don't send any kind of email. Just integrate that email marketing tool along with that domain. Okay, keep it that as it is. Just send 1 or 2 or 3 emails every day just to warm that out. So 10 to 15 days, we do not send any kind of a bulk emailing from that particular thing. What I suggested was to do across is like, minimum have 10 to 15 different email account and addresses with 5 different domains. And from there, we can start doing that. So what we did just only one domain, which is close to our, like, our capital raising domain. And then we start immediately bumping up the email altogether from that domain. So that was the one reason, why it was going in like, spam. Another part is what content you talk, like, the gray words, what you use across, the dollar symbol you use it. So you specifically like, you have to validate the content of the email which is out there, are you using any like, red flag words, you using like, CLZ words or a dollar symbol into it. So you have to avoid those kind of a thing, Ruben, 1000%, in order to like, not get your email to spam specifically or get into the spammy folder, Ruben and Vinky.
The
So
audience
let me,
wants to know what software systems we use so that they know.
yeah,
We
let
use
me,
Beehive. We use Beehive specifically, Ruben.
Which
Later
one?
stage Beehive.
Beehive. We use
Beehive.
Beehive, we use Expandy, we use multiple softwares. We use Email Octopus, we use
Yes.
Bouncer to validate the emails, we use Smart Leads, we use the
Yes.
Sales Navigator, and then Ramesh can talk about more. Like the team was doing whole 9 yards, a whole spectrum of things that they were using that one person cannot possibly think about it or use it himself or herself, because we needed a whole team to get this whole thing going on, connect all the dots. So Ramesh, I wanted to ask you one question before you go further. You were talking about warming the leads. That's very important because we had experience firsthand in our conference that how our domain got flagged. And that was like completely like, oh my God, I almost had a heart attack that day when I thought, oh my God, everything is going to the spam. What's gonna happen? And I'm not even sure it was related to Ruben that way or no. But that was like a really, really bad situation. And I kept texting Ramesh back and forth. I think I had many conversations with you guys, get a new
Yeah.
domain name. And I think we end up getting new domain name too with .info so that we can recover all those emails. So I would like you to talk about that a little bit, for our audience. What is a warm lead or how you're warming that lead? Number one, that's very important so that it's not ending up in spam and our domain is not like kind of tagged or redlined so that we are kind of totally out of the game.
Yeah. So see, specific thing is that why we get spam is like, using go high level CRM for bulk emailing was the biggest, like, no red flag, which was we're not supposed to do it firstly. For cold emailing and cold email blast or cold email outreach, there are two tool which we specifically recommend and we use is one is Beehive and another is a email octopus, which we majorly use it. Okay. So this is the two thing. First, second thing, like, warming up the lead is Vinky and Ruben and audience. It is like, you validate those email address with Bouncely, okay, or validation tools, email validation tool. Once you validate them, don't upload that data quickly, like, 10,000 data you uploaded today itself on the on your email tool straight away. They get red flag. This data is uploaded, upload right now. So something is gonna happen. This is fishy. So you have to gradually upload that data into the tool. 100, 200, make the batches. Day one day don't send anything. Another day send just a 10 email. Another day just send a 10 email. So 10 to 15 days. If you are planning to do a cold email outreach blast and you don't want to get the email to be into the spam, really you wanted to do a warming period of a 15 days with a 5 different domains, okay, and uploading the list slowly to all those 5 different domains with multiple five accounts. Hear me out what I'm saying. Five multiple different account. Let's say, for example, we have a event now. So Winky, one email address, Ruben, another email address, Ramesh, third email address. On this one domain, we'll have 3 accounts. Next domain, again, we have a 3 different account. Third domain, again, we have a 3 different account. This is the best practice to do it and manage it across with a email octopus and behave kind of a tool. So that's what it needed. A lot of people, I wanted to mention over here, Venki and Ruben. A lot of people say it is never worked for them, the cold outreaching. There is a way to do the cold outreaching. There is a way how you can do cold outreach. There is a most important thing. Once you do this verification, validation, your content validation, about email content which you are sending across. Once you do that validation, then your subject line, and then the kind of a call to action you give, how crisp email you kept it. So many moving points are there to it, Ruben and Venki. So until and unless you don't have a very specialist person into this space, you're not able to do with that or deal with that. But the key is, Ruben and Venki, withdrawing that data on our own self, or making sure you are withdrawing freshly that data. If somebody is providing the list and you're using it, damn, man, you gone there. Because you don't know that list is being, rotated to thousands and thousands and thousands of people.
That's
So
true.
it's
Yeah.
it's not useful at all, Ruben and Venki.
That's true, because a lot of people, they sell the email list that you can buy. You can buy for $99. You can buy 10,000 emails, but I'm not sure
Exactly.
it was worth that much, because that could be total garbage. And that's been sold to multiple people already. That's not gonna be really good. So let me switch the gear here a little bit, because throughout the conference, one thing I learned is very, very important is the communication. Communication, among the team, whether it's your marketing team or your partner that you're doing the conference with, we have to be crystal clear and be appraised on each and every point, whatever we're doing. It was very, very important for us. When I'm talking to Ruben, he has a total trust in me, and I cannot commend Ruben enough for that. He never questioned me anything. He was like, I was going to share with them. I said, hey, Ruben, this thing happened. He's like, I don't care. Just do it, Vinky, do it. I mean, because that gave me so much bandwidth and so much confidence that I can run with it. And then there's certain things, and I'm like, okay, no, this is informational. You need to know that we have to be in together. So I would say communication is very important, because otherwise there's no partnership. Whether it's 2 partners, 3 partner, 4 partner, or your marketing partner, they're very important too. And we are meeting every day, daily 7:30 calls I had with Ramesh's team every day. And we were just going through the list of activities, like what we accomplish today, or what we accomplished yesterday, or what things are missing, what we're gonna take on from the next morning. And I know Ruben dreaded every morning. It's like 7:30, I have to get up early morning, because he was working full time too. But it was lots and effort. But I would stress that the communication is very, very important, and you have to be crystal clear on the point for everything to make sure everything is going smoothly. And I would like Ruben to add to it, and of course Ramesh, before we move on to the next point. Ruben?
It is incredibly time consuming, especially if you're very busy in the middle of a capital raise, or if you have family emergencies, or if you have other things. It's like the conference you can't just put it on hold. Like, you have people that are going to be at the event, speaking. They need to be communicated with. They need to know when are they going on, what their topic is. They have to have the right Zoom link. You have to coordinate all of that stuff. You have to talk to your marketing team. The marketing team has to create infographics. They have to review those infographics with you. If they're not doing particular things, you have to catch them up and you have to get on the same page. And that takes consistent, ongoing, over and over and over communication. So if you're a very busy person, you definitely want to outsource that to some of the team members that you bring on to do the conference with you. There's no way I could have done this without Vinky. Definitely not with Ramesh. I mean, so highly recommend you work with the team. Just like if you're doing a multifamily deal, if you're going to do a syndication, you probably want to partner with someone who's done it before. Same thing here. You're going to do a conference. You want to do it with somebody like Vinky who's done a conference before, and with Ramesh and their marketing team who has done it before. You try and do it all by yourself, you're going to come out with a mediocre product. That's not how you want to arrive on the scene. Believe me. So I think working with these individuals and very close friends was a huge benefit to me. And I highly recommend that if you want to do a conference, don't just put some stuff together. Maybe you can do it like a small masterclass with 4 or 5 speakers to get your feet wet. Just like if you want to get into multifamily, you probably start with a 4-plex or 16-plex, and then you move into syndication. Same thing here, see what it's like, right? If you don't have a podcast, then run a masterclass or a webinar or a panel. Who is it? Bronson Hill does these 3 people panel, just a 1 hour session, monthly or multiple times a month. It's a great way to start coordinating with people, getting your feet wet. So I highly recommend doing that and then scaling up with someone who's done a conference before. So those are my words of wisdom there.
Yeah, that was really good. All were really good. And then Ramesh, I'm going to add to it, just like when you're doing a conference, it's like a project in itself. Just think about a project. It's a 3-month long project, 4-month long project, and I would like you to talk about the timeline as well. Like how much time do you need? Because you talk about the warm leads, because when you're warming the leads, you're sending 15 to 20 emails, 30 emails every day from expanded, not more than that, because there's a limit or there's an upper limit on that. How much can you send the data out and how much you can warm on a daily basis, all these AI tools that you're using. So you need time for that. You cannot say, okay, I'm going to send 10,000 emails out today. I'm going to have the conference tomorrow. No, you need to have a time. So this is a project in itself. From conception to completion, like we say, have the objective, have the audience, have your storyline. What are you going to say? And then storyline has to be from audience's perspective, not your storyline, because maybe people are not interested in your story. They wanted to hear whatever they wanted to hear. So you might want to research a little bit what exactly the need of the hour is. And accordingly, you wanted to create that. So coming back to you, Ramesh. So how did the communication part work for you? I know you assigned your team to me, daily meetings, go to the project line, and they were very well diligent, writing down all the points, what is accomplished, what needs to be done, and all that. Beside that, you guys were communicating on the daily basis with all the leads, sending the emails, and people are replying to our emails. We were replying them back. So please talk about that.
Yes, Venki, I think, the most important factor, which at the start itself you point out is, the time frame. If you're doing a conference, what is the time frame look like? When exactly how much time you should give when you start that conference? Is it a 4-month, 5-month? So I do remember, as you said, like, initially we touch base and you said, hey, we wanted to do it in 3 months. And then, like, I said, Venki, we should have at least a 4-month of a time period. Somehow it has really went to 4 months of a time period. The one who probably really wanted to make it happen in a great way, the conference should have minimum 4 to 5 months in a place to run this objective. So, you can always have a backup plan. You can have that data list. You can have that marketing plan ready. You can communicate with your speaker. You can communicate with your panelists. Your content is ready. On top of it, let me just tell you one thing. When before this particular conference, we have done previously many conferences, and in that particular conferences, the kind of a speaker we specifically create a content for them, Ruben Venki, and they have promoted on their social media that particular content through their email, through their social media posting. In our case, the time frame was really low. If you have noticed, very few people have promoted our content, like, but we just, like, through a buzz and our own tactics, we reach out to that bigger level. So I think, that one point we missed out in our specific conference, that if we could have more time, our speaker, our panelist can really talk about our conference and promote us on their social profile as well. So that could have been really a great help. So time is really play a really great crunch. I think Venki and Ruben have really learned from, and we too, that okay, 4 to 5 months is a absolute fantastic time to have this kind of a conference. Whether
I'd
it
say
is,
about 6 months.
yeah.
I know exactly.
What
I say
about
that
what
too.
about Ruben?
I'd say
What about?
2 months
Yeah.
of planning, and then you launch the marketing in month, with 4 months to go. But
Yeah,
if you're
exactly.
starting and you're planning a conference in 3 months, that's not enough time to plan it. Definitely not enough time to start the marketing, because by the time the marketing actually kicks in, you're talking about like 4 to 6 weeks later. And at that point, you're only
Yeah.
6 weeks away from your conference. And if you want to get 1,000 people in there, that's just not enough time.
And
That's
then you
true.
get out.
Thus we had to push ours out. So
That's true. But the thing is,
Then,
despite all that, nobody, I mean, a lot of speakers didn't promote us because there was not enough time. Despite all that, we almost hit our target. So we have to give kudos to our team, for all this team effort. Because
yeah.
being a short time and everything, still we did it. But now this time I look at it at the bigger picture. For our next conference, to basically have everything in place, it's just going to be more like a cookie cutter approach for us, because we have figured out all the tools. We figured out how to bring people on one portal, how to reach out to people, how to get the communications in one place, and then we can run with it. I think it's going to be maybe a little bit easier. Maybe we can do it in 4 months. But again, we're going to just rely on Ramesh's expertise this time, because we were like really enthusiastic last time. We're like, oh no, we can do it in 3 months, which we ending up delaying 1 month anyways, So we end up in the same timeline. So next thing I wanted to ask you is the glitches, right? We had few glitches in our conference. The biggest one was we started as a Zoom meeting, and then we communicated the link out to everybody. And I wanted to give kudos again to Ramesh's team, especially Amir. And then what happened was Zoom reached out to me and they said, you can buy our Zoom event. We can give you this Zoom event. You can run with it for your conference, this and that. Since I have an enterprise account, I'm like, woohoo, I'm going to do the Zoom events. So I told Amir, let's shut down we already had like 500 signups there, 500 signups there. So we might have lost those contacts. I'm thinking out loud here. And then I said, let's move on to the Zoom events. So we started the Zoom events. We started, bringing in all the speakers there, and we started adding few of the attendees there too. I mean, the registrants there too. And then we figured out like 4 weeks or 3-4 weeks before the conference that we cannot do the Zoom event, because the account that they gave me, that was only for 500 people. The limit was 500. And our target was 2,000 registrants. Oh, and I'm like, oh, it's not gonna work. So now again, there was a huge hiccup. So now I was like, okay, we kind of stalled. We went back. Okay, let's go back to our previous conference link that we had. So it was a lot of work for us. We brought a lot of manual effort between me, Ruben, Amir, Divya, multiple people from Ramesh's team. We were trying to upload manually the contacts to our initial meeting that we started with. And that was quite an experience. And we tried to bring people on board. So that was like a huge hiccup. But the reason I wanted to bring it is that did not create any kind of disputes in our teams, or, with
I
all the
freaked out on
individuals
Vicky a
involved.
little bit. She's like, here, take these 100 people and manually put them in. So I did. And then she's just like, I don't see them on the Zoom. What happened to these people? I'm like, I put them right into strategiccapitalraise.com one by one. It took me like 2 hours to do it. And she's like, no, Ruben, you put it in the wrong place. And I'm just like, I'm done. And I was so angry. I was just like, I can't believe I wasted 2 hours of my life doing this, and I got absolutely zero to show
No,
for it.
I want to add on to it, Ruben, honestly, right? So same thing. She called me. It was my morning, and I said, like, in the first 5 minutes, I understand her issue, because I was already having a conversation with the team. So I said, Vinky, you just chill. You just chill. You just keep everything on us. We have already managed everything. You don't need to bother anything. We talked for 20 minutes, okay, and result was the same. So Winky, out of that entire discussion, I come to know Winky was just on her toe. She never wanted to lose anything at that particular point of time. That she don't want to take a single chance. She wanted to confirm every 100 times that she is right. She is right. Is there anything missing or not? So I told her everything is covered. We have already uploaded the list manually. It is going, so nothing is gonna go. Let Zoom don't want to give their event, don't let them not give it to us. It is sorted. So it was that easy. But when somebody, Ruben, who is doing an event first time, and they want have, like, you have a bigger responsibility on your shoulder, then you act like this. No, you wanted to make sure everything is happy. But I think, Venki, great. Again, not being a technical person, again, every time, Ruben, she's making sure that things are right or wrong, it's going in that direction. So thanks a lot.
Give me back my 2 hours that I spent on that. Just kidding.
Yeah, but that was like the reason I brought that up, because those kind of glitches could happen. But the only thing is, if you're patient, you know a little bit. And my thing is, maybe I come from a IT background. I was an IT executive for 20 years and also IT professor too. So I happen to know maybe a little bit. But the thing is, still, beside all that knowledge, these kind of things happen. And then at the last minute, when you're thinking, oh my God, I already have 500-600 people registered, what am I going to do with that? And I can bet you might have lost few of them, who couldn't make it to the conference because of our own glitch, but we were still able to get very close to our target, which I would say that it was a commendable job for our team. And also, people were not finger pointing at each other either. That was the other best thing was in our team. We had the trust. We believed in each other. Okay, whatever I'm saying is going to be done. And we just like kind of ran with it and made it happen. That's what I have to say. So anything else you guys have to
Yeah.
add?
So one thing that was a little bit challenging and intimidating was, like, they were obviously investing a ton of time and energy into this, and like, how are we going to make it worth it to us financially? Well, one of the answers to that is to go get the sponsors, but then how do you get the sponsors to come if you're going to do an event? How do you even get the sponsor to believe in you to put this whole thing together? And part of it is a value proposition. We noticed that the sponsors all had different things that they wanted that we were not offering. One person wanted the list, another person wanted a solo spot, another person wanted etc. Another person wanted to pitch his deal. They had different things that they wanted to accomplish by sponsoring. So being very flexible and just negotiating and having that kind of thing from that kind of mindset from the beginning helped quite a bit, because some people are just like, oh, in order for me to do this, then I need this, and well, let's do it, So we just have to make sure Vinky and everyone else is cool with it. And then so that's one of the approaches. You have to get a list of sponsors. Where were some of the places we looked? We went to Best Ever and saw all of their sponsors, reached out to a lot of them. Went to the Family Office Club, saw all of their sponsors, reached out to some of them. But a lot of them, for me, they were just personal contacts. Like, I reached out to Capitalist Pro, I reached out to Invest Next, I reached out to Family Office Club. They all ended up sponsoring. What did you do, Vinky? I mean, what would you recommend to the people that want to get some sponsors for their event?
Okay, sponsorships, I think that again is happens because of your relations with the people, and that plays a big role. When you go out to people and you're telling them, okay, I'm putting this huge conference, I'm going to have these many speakers, and they're going to ask you, what is your goal and what is the audience, how many registrants going to be there? So you have to communicate your vision, and we're communicating our vision day one. We're saying our target is we're going to have at least 1,000 registrants, even though we were targeting 2,000 in the back end, but we are communicating 1,000 registrants to everybody. And when people see, okay, they're going to be attracting that many people, there's going to be so much value creation for me, and they wanted to know more. So you wanted to kind of spark their interest into something, and that's what we're doing. And the other thing is relationship always works. Because if you know somebody personally, you have built a relation over the years, you go back, ask them and say, hey, I'm doing this. Would you be interested to partner with us? And most of the times they say yes. That worked for us. And then I think I was asking Ramesh too, that he has a huge list. And then if he can get us some sponsors too. And then he was trying to get us some, but I don't think if it worked out. But Ramesh could play a big role in getting sponsors as well, which didn't happen because of the timeline for us. Maybe next conference, maybe you can help us find some sponsors as well.
Yeah, obviously, I think, Venki and Ruben, probably sponsors as Ruben said, like, it's all about negotiation, like, what exactly they're looking out. And it's all about, like, what kind of a brand you exit. Like, this was our first uh, conference, which we are doing at this time. Next conference, you can see the difference. Obviously, this was the first time you're launching out something. So in a first case, you don't have much to negotiate, obviously, with the people. So the brand is new. The conference is its first time. Even though people knowing the speaker, but still, are not sure about how many people can attend about that particular event. So that is, a kind of a conflict which is going on in the mind of the sponsors when they wanted to be a sponsor on particular event. Let's say if I want to sponsor one particular event, I would really love to see that how many people are going to hear that out, who is going to attend that, so what are the big brands are coming out there, so who are the top speaker out there, and depending on that, sponsors are defining and making their decisions. So it's as simple as it is. The reason is only that, Rubin and Venki. So we have not that bigger list of a sponsor because it was a first strike of our. You see in next conference how different it would be, obviously, So that's how, yeah.
I think we could have got a few more sponsors, but we just ran out of spots. Like we couldn't give
Fine.
solo
Yeah, we
spots
didn't have-
anymore.
That's true. That's true. We
Yeah.
didn't have the spots, and the timing was not that great because the timing was too short with all the changes that happened. So I think that played a big role too. But still, I think we did really, really well. We kind of hit our target numbers, and we are very happy about that. And then also wanted to mention the flow of the day on the 2 days. The flow was really good, and we had the proper music, and we had all those.
Oh, that's one thing that I would change for my next event is like I would want to have the different music. Like I was not a big fan of that
I mean, that
music,
was the last minute.
honestly.
The music was like we did not have time to pick the music. We were super busy, and then the last 24 hours, we are like, oh, let's look for music, and then we were like, we were not agreeing on anything. So whatever by default was, that was like 2 hours literally before the conference. Whatever music we decided, we said we'll run with that, and we kind of took that music, we ran with that, and again, kudos to Ramesh's team that they were able to spin all the videos off with that music. Another thing I wanted to highlight here is one of our speakers at the last minute, he told us he has a family emergency, one of his friends passed away, and then he couldn't come. We had to replace him, and we did that very seamlessly. Nobody even noticed that he was gone. And the other thing was our another main speaker, Troy Eckert. He was oil and gas, and then a lot of people wanted to hear him. And at the last minute, he got a problem in his throat. He couldn't talk. So Derek replaced him. And I'm like, in the background, when I'm in the session, I'm texting Amir, who was our point of contact in Ramesh's team. I'm like, Troy can make it. Can we not play his video? He's like, how can we, who's gonna be there? I'm like, okay, this person's gonna be there. His name is Derek Long. So he's gonna be replacing him. He's like, okay, fine. I said, can you get the graphics created for him? Within seconds, the graphics were created with music. He didn't even have his picture. And I was texting Derek, can you send me a picture? He said, okay, let me email it to you. By the time Amir sends me Derek's picture in a WhatsApp, he's like, is this the person? I'm like, yes. And I sent that picture to Derek. I'm like, we got your picture. And Derek was so impressed. I was like, oh my God, you guys are way ahead of the game. I'm like, yes, kudos to our team. So it was like a team effort. That's what I have to say or point it out over and over again. It was like a really, really huge effort on everybody's part. Go ahead, Ramesh.
No, I think, Vicky, you said very well over here. It's a teamwork. nothing can happen without a team. It's like, right now it's a triangle over here, Ruben, Vinky, and Orion Digital. This is what has really made out this a major component. Everybody has played a bigger role kind of a thing, but it's ultimately a team role, a vision, action, implementation. Everybody has, initiated their roles into this entire ball game, and that's why the entire conference is being a big success altogether, Ruben and Vinky.
Have
Thank
the
you so much.
bandwidth. One of the crazy things that happened is when we decided to put this conference on, I was just doing real estate and I didn't have a 9-to-5 investor relations gig. And that started for me in the middle of the planning for the conference. And we just kept going. But now I have 40 hours of work that I'm dedicating to raising capital for, this company, Wire Refi. I'm actually there right now. And that became extremely challenging because I no longer had the bandwidth or time to do this. So just try and carefully plan. And if something like that happens where all of a sudden you just got a capital raise because the deal showed up and you're going to be extremely busy, you still have to have that extra time available, because I wasn't going to let Vinky or Ramesh down. Like, I just made the time as much as I could. Sometimes I was not available because it was a lot of work. I mean, if you're trying to balance family and yoga and working out and running and losing weight and, going to Sedona with your dogs and hiking and all that stuff, and you're in the middle of a capital raise and now you got an investor relations gig, like, it's a lot to juggle. Just be prepared to work. It'll be worth it for you. I promise.
Master, say hot yoga. Hot yoga. I'm like, no more hot yoga
It
for
is
you
hot
today.
yoga. It is. I don't. Yeah. I canceled numerous workouts and hot yogas to make sure that you guys got presented with some quality material, guys. So
Any last piece of advice, Ruben?
just that you guys could do it. Partner with somebody that's already done it, preferably, just like if you were launching a fund. Instead of launching a fund from scratch, go partner with Jeff Greenberg or somebody who's already done a fund. Same thing with the conference, right? Work with somebody who's already done it.
Thank you. How about you, Ramesh?
I think obviously, Venki, I'll say that same thing. There is no, don't reinvent the wheel, just go and get the will. Who has made that will? So I think we are the people whom you can get in touch with, who have already know how to do the conferences, specifically syndication conferences, not other conferences. Be a point to that, the one who has already done an event which is related to, like, maybe a football event. No, it is not going to work out. You really need to work with the people who have the domain expertise of a capital raising event, managing in-person event, virtual event. That really make huge sense. So work with the experienced people, and start somewhere. As Vinky and Ruben started, they were not having any experience. They done only one thing. They found me and they just executed. So that's what, you just need to know what you have to do. Find the person who is right to do that, and you are able to do it. That's it. I think, Ruben and Vinky.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. That was really insightful, and I'll see you guys again. And thank you everybody for joining. Have a good
Thanks a lot.
one. Bye, guys.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Yeah.